Hi, Karen Curry Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report. And I'm going to do something that I like to do at least every couple of months, and I haven't done it in a while. So I'm going to reel us back a little bit and take a broader perspective on the planetary changes so that we can get a sense of the outer planetary themes, which tend to be sort of the template or the bookends for the work that we do within the more personal planetary themes that change more quickly. The outer planets tend to move more slowly, so they hold a more collective theme for us. They create a slower moving energy that within the embrace of those planetary movements really gives us the opportunity and the themes within which we work as we personally evolve and ultimately collectively evolve. So when we're looking at the outer planets, we're starting first, let's look first with Jupiter. Jupiter is our planet of blessings, and we have been moving out of the energy of money, where we've actually been exploring, because we're in a Venus retrograde cycle, which has caused all of us to also go into deep exploration around our values. And money is oftentimes something that's deeply intertwined and entangled with our values. So we've been exploring the value of money, and the interesting thing about the value of money and resources is that when we get to the outer edge of that archetype in the influential sphere of the planets, we start to really not be driven or motivated by money anymore. We start to explore, well, what else is more meaningful than money? And oftentimes people who carry the the gate 14 in line 6, which tends to be sort of that last perspective that we have on money, which is where we've been playing and kind of what we're leaving behind. People who carry that energy in their chart oftentimes really don't care about money at all. And in fact, even though they have money in their chart and generally speaking can figure out in the 11th hour how to pull a financial rabbit out of the hat if they absolutely need to, these are people that money isn't that big a deal. And we have been playing with that theme ourselves collectively, really exploring how important and vital is money, and is it what drives us? And as this money energy shifts, we move now into a deeper exploration about the benefits of power. I think coincidentally, maybe not, we're at least in America, in this very big election season that has at least the potential to change the nature of the balance of power in the way our government works. And certainly not just on a collective level, on a personal level. After we've been in this deep dive for the last couple of years about our personal stories and who we are, one of the things that we are really talking about with ourselves and exploring for ourselves is, how do we become more powerful? How do we tap into our own personal power? And what do we need to do to feel empowered in our own lives or in our own reality? And if you are on my Human Design for Everyone Facebook page or on the YouTube channel watching this, you'll note that over the last 3 weeks on the Quantum Alignment Show, I've actually been exploring the theme of power in the chart and different ways that you can tap into and discover for yourself the source of your power in your chart. And I want to just gently remind you, all of you, every single one of you are designed to be powerful. Even if you are a projector or a reflector, or you have a lot of openness in your chart, all the other things I hear people say, every one of us is designed to be powerful. It's part of the direction giving energies in the G center. So don't ever believe that you're not powerful, because you are. You are designed to not only be powerful, but to feel empowered in your own reality. It's just that we all get there a little bit differently by our type. The second thing we have to explore is Saturn, and Saturn is inviting us to examine what is the source of joy in our life and what might be blocking us from experiencing the true experience of joy in our life. And we have to recognize that joy comes from a logical energy, that joy comes from repeating something over and over and over again and getting better and better and better. And the more better we get, the more joy we experience, because we experience mastery. So we are really exploring our mastery and the experience and the drive of joy that causes us to move more solidly towards the things that we seek to be masterful about in our lives. And of course, it is also really calling us out into our joy. So even though we have this really heavy energy in this, in all the other planets, basically, we've been dancing this really heavy energy really for a couple of years, Saturn, which tends to be kind of a really heavy-duty planet, is actually saying, lighten up. That your own joy will become part of the direction-giving energy for what you create in your life. So I certainly would encourage you as we go through, especially the end of this Venus retrograde cycle, to explore all of your relationships and your values and make sure that you are creating from a place of joy, you're sustaining yourself from a place of joy, and that your relationships are a source of joy for you, not depletion, not exhaustion. And sometimes, you know, our relationships can be something that take us away from our mastery. For you to honestly ask yourself, are your relationships lifting you up and pushing you towards an expansion of who you are? Or are you in a relationship that's causing you to have to push away the true story of who you are? Or do you have relationship patterns that are causing you to deny aspects of yourself or even deny your own joy? If you are, stop it and get out of it, all right? Not yet. Don't do it yet. But at the end of this month, I give you permission to start making those changes you need to make. It's going to get better soon. The rest of the outer planets are really inviting us to explore what's working and what's not. They're inviting us to really learn to connect more deeply to our own inner place of truth so that confusion and doubt and suspicion about either ourselves or about each other, or confusion about what's true and what's not true, doesn't cause you to sort of be working and creating in your life from behind a veil. So you're really being invited to explore, as part of that joy even, what do you need to do to stay connected to your own inner source of truth? And I just want to take a short little pause here and say, you know, sometimes that truth is not on Facebook or on YouTube or anywhere in media at all. That maybe sometimes for all of us, it's important to unplug, not just for an hour or two, but for a couple of days, every week, and say, okay, I'm checking out so I can check in and see where am I at. I really do believe that this constant media exposure, this constant, tuning in and sort of checking out what's going on, even if you're just like doing light and fluffy stuff, it takes us away from that inner place of truth. So we're really being invited actually by the planets to not lose our connection to truth. And that's truth with a capital T. That's not truth from Fox News or CNN or wherever you get your news. It's truth that comes from your own connection to your own inner knowingness, and trusting that when you can ritualistically and practically and in a practiced way, we have a spiritual practice because it's something you do every day, so you stay practiced at it, you will be able to connect more deeply with where you need to be and what you need to do, as things around you might be changing rather rapidly, as they probably will continue to do for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Okay, so your own inner truth is really vital for you. We're being invited also to explore, particularly by the nodal themes, to really look at not just what's working, but where do we want to go? And are the stories that we are writing about ourselves and about each other, are the words we're using? Are the words you are using, I said that twice because it's so important, are the words you're using about yourself and about your fellow divine siblings on this planet, collectively or individually, are the words you're using consciously and deliberately crafting an energy? Because words carry energy. Words trigger major biochemical responses in people's bodies. Not to mention, sometimes when we use the wrong words, we make people do really stupid, horrible, violent things. And when we use the right words, we actually literally can change someone's DNA. Okay, that's how powerful the words are that we use. So are you really crafting for yourself a conscious and deliberate story about who you are, so that the language you use about yourself lifts you up? And are you adding that to your sphere of influence and to the world? I really want to encourage you to explore, especially over the next couple of weeks, the power of the stories that you tell, the power of the archetypes that you hold, and the way in which you speak and think about who you are and about who your neighbors are and about who we all are, because our words create. Your words are things, and they create an experience in your body, an experience in your mind, an experience on a genetic level, and they program the electromagnetic resonance field of your heart, and they influence ultimately what you create in your own life. So use good words. Really think of your life as a canvas that you paint with beautiful words, and do that ritualistically and practice it. Write it out. Take 10 minutes every day and write a beautiful story about yourself or your body or your relationship with money or whatever, but put good words out. Eventually, your emotions and the rest of your creative energy will catch up to the words. They're weaving an energetic template for you to step into if you practice using good words consistently enough. That's why affirmations are a good thing to do. Not the only thing to do sometimes, but a good place to start. All right, so that kind of leads you to the overarching view of where we're at. Certainly, we're entering into, in 2019, a continuation of this theme of rewriting the story of who we are. And actually, next year it gets even deeper, but also begins to bring about some momentum. And the momentum we are moving to over the next couple of years is not just building, inform the stories that we're holding. It's an energy of revolution, an energy of dramatic potential for change. And if we don't practice telling good stories right now and really get habituated around bringing your story back into alignment with truth when you get sideswiped by other people's stories that maybe aren't as good as yours. You know, if you get those experiences and you're not practiced in holding tight to your own story, then you get knocked off your course. So practicing, not just writing the story and holding the story, but practicing training yourself to go back to the story every time life looks a little bit different than the way your brain thinks it should. All right, let's talk about this week. This week, the sun moves out of the 44 into the gate 1. The earth moves out of the 24 into the 2, which means we're moving, first of all, into a brand new human design cycle, creative cycle. We're moving into the harvest quarter of the year. So we start with the cross of the Sphinx, which is a direction-giving cross. Starts on Tuesday. So on Tuesday of this week, be prepared for some major direction giving and or direction changing energy. And especially, as I said, with this intensity that we have with this Venus retrograde cycle and with Mars. Mars is in the gate at 49, the gate of revolution, moving into the 30, which is called the clinging fire, which is this super fiery, passionate energy that sometimes comes from having a lot of fantasies that aren't always, sometimes they serve you and sometimes they're great. It's part of your creative power. And you can create great things because that 30 gives you the fire to be able to hold on to a vision and endure with a vision, even when it doesn't look like it's coming true. So that's something to remember, especially when we think about revolutions. If you're creating a revolution that's causing the world to shift towards equitability and sustainability and peace, I want to invite you into and remind you that no matter what it looks like out here, hold the fire in your heart that it's coming about the way you see it in your mind's eye, and don't let the outer evidence of the temporary situation that we're in make you lose connection to your end point and our end goal for what we're building here. We're building something beautiful, but we got to move things around a little bit. And sometimes that means there's a revolution, but it can be a revolution that can be powerful and good. But this is really fiery energy. So I just really want to encourage you all this week to be mindful of your fighting words, and again, use your words carefully and use them to not fan the flames of, fighting, but to fan the flames of passion and creativity and possibility. I'll leave it at that. The 44 last week gave us the energy of exploring patterns of the past. Moving into the 1 now, we move into this direction-giving energy that is all about you being the fulfillment of who you are as the contribution that you give to the world. Okay? You being the fullest expression of who you are, and you being who you are, being the contribution to the world. Meaning, when you are the fullest expression of yourself, the gift that you give to yourself by virtue of your existence is the contribution you're designed to make to the world or give to the world. So this week, I really want you to explore for yourself, who are you and what are you here to give the world? And to trust in divine timing, and don't let any sense of urgency around, I gotta do it, I gotta do it, I gotta do it, knock you off your path and cause you to defy divine timing and try to take matters into your own hands. Everything's happening and unfolding the way it needs to. The most important job that you have is to tell the right story and live it and be the full expression of it, and don't compromise on it, and don't rationalize being less than who you are, and don't settle for less than who you are. The earth is in the gate 2, moving out of the energy of rationalization from last week. The 2 is all about receiving. You are designed to, by virtue of your existence, receive everything you need to do what you came here to do. And if you are not allowing yourself to receive the support, the love, the resources, everything you need, if you're fighting it because you think you got to do it yourself, or you're fighting it because it doesn't look like the way you thought it would, or you're fighting it because your little plan isn't playing out because divine timing hasn't kicked in yet, and you're pushing stuff away because it's not what you thought you wanted, or it's not showing up the way you thought it should, or maybe because you're questioning your own value and maybe you're not allowing yourself to receive, I want you to explore this week as part of your own story about your worthiness and the worthiness of who you perceive yourself to be, and your willingness, because you recognize, after you go on this little exploration, what a fantastic cosmic once-in-a-lifetime event that you are. You realize that because you are this precious creature in playing out an irreplaceable role in the divine plan, that you deserve to receive all the support that you need to do what you came here to do. So I want you to really explore your willingness to open yourself up to receiving more than maybe you've rationalized or allowed yourself to receive in the past. Communication this week tends to be a little focused. Fortunately, we've got the Venus playing in the 50, which is a nurturing energy, but don't be surprised if people get stuck in communicative ruts this week, if they keep bringing up a dead horse and trying to flog it back to life. Just be patient with them and nod and smile knowingly and say, okay, this person is still processing their emotional energy around this theme, and I can stand here and be a container for this, but I don't have to buy into it, and I don't have to become codependent. And if it really is driving me nuts, I can just very lovingly and gently set a boundary and leave the room. Take a breath and then go back in. If you've ever had teenagers, you know how to do this. This is a good thing to practice if you don't have teenagers yet. All right, so bottom line, tell a good story. Be your story, live into your story, and allow yourself to receive everything you deserve to fulfill your story. Be gentle and kind and nice with your words, and be gentle and kind and nice to each other. This week has the potential to continue to be a little fiery. So step back, hold a space for peace, use your words to fan the flames of peace, okay? And take good care of yourself. Keep taking good care of yourself. I won't tell you to hug trees this week. It's a big week. It's a new season. We're moving into the harvest season of the year. We're not going to really feel it until we get to December and all this retrograde stuff finally falls away. But we are getting there. And I think you'll find as you get to the end of this year, that hitch in your giddy up that you've been experiencing all year is going to start to lessen. And you are going to begin to feel a little bit more like the momentum is coming back, and we will be given a different creative energy, a different quality of creative energy as we move towards the end of the year and into 2019. That's it. I'm off to Flagstaff for the week to hang out with my human design students. We have over 70 people coming to our human design annual conference, my professional students, where we build our community so that we can resource ourselves and come back to serve as a resource to you all. Have a great week. I will talk to you next week.